Very large companies like Google, Amazon, Netflix and others notoriously use LeetCode-style questions in their technical interviews. These are pure algorithmic problems that have very well-known edge cases and solutions. There are obviously merits to this approach. First of all, pure algorithmic or whiteboard interviews can be more objective than, let's say, technical trivia. And you could argue that flunking a technical interview for not remembering the fourth argument of a PHP function is not fair. After all, autocomplete is a job for your favorite integrated development environment or IDE. A good whiteboard interview should provide the best insight into a candidate's proficiency, right? Right? Well, not really. This is why I stopped using LeetCode questions when interviewing candidates on technical roles. I've been a CTO for 10 years now. I've done thousands of technical interviews, and I must admit that I too am guilty of following the status quo or best practices for a very long time. For the first few years, my technical interviews were very brief. I was only interested in finding out if the person in front of me was passionate about programming. Not engineering, not architecture, none of that fancy schmancy stuff. No, I just wanted to know if they enjoyed coding. Emphasis on the word enjoy. The only thing I care about at that time was the portfolio. If they had interesting stuff on there and they were eager to discuss it at length, that was a hire. I didn't ask technical questions or technical trivia because I thought that was dumb. Your memory isn't super sharp when adrenaline courses through your veins, and it truly doesn't matter if you forgot whether a function name contains an underscore. I never asked where do you see yourself in 5 years. Instead, I figured that out by letting them tell me more about their work. We reviewed some of the more interesting challenges in their portfolio, and that was it. Those early days were the golden years. Maybe the tech space was different, but I just don't remember having a hard time finding great candidates. But that all changed. FAANG does it, and so should we. I have to be honest here and say that my time was split between too many tasks. I saw FAANG's LeetCode approach as a quick fix, a faster way to screen candidates whilst hopefully improving my objectivity. But you see, more objectivity is a double-edged sword. Because if the nature of the test itself absolves you as the interviewer from responsibility, then you are free to become a tyrant. I did notice this change in my behavior. I would sometimes get frustrated when a candidate would fail a very simple task. Even though I tried to hide it, that frustration translated through the screen, I'm sure. This is also the first time I noticed having fewer good candidates and generally worse experiences during interviews. You name it, I've seen it. Candidates clearly using a second laptop to find solutions. Candidates clearly talking to someone behind the camera to solve the tasks. Candidates cursing at the code, etc. It was getting bananas. Pure whiteboard interviews are cold and rigorous. You can be kind and helpful, but somehow the nature of the interview itself forces candidates into a fight or flight response. FAANG-style interviews felt more like technical interrogations under a harsh light than chill, laid-back technical discussions. I started missing the good old days, but I kept telling myself that if I just provide more feedback, that if I just help candidates more, that this testing strategy would finally start working. It never did. I recorded myself reassuring people and taking 5-minute breaks to relax hundreds of times. Something was clearly wrong, but it couldn't be the testing methodology itself, right? I mean, Google can't be wrong, right? I even open sourced an internal tool I used for pair programming in our online interviews, convinced that this was the right approach. I kept doing these types of interviews for years. At some point, I started adding small take-home tests to screen candidates better as my faith in LeetCode interviews was finally cracking. Something had to change. Back to winging it. There's a meme about this somewhere online. I guess the high IQ and low IQ strategies converge once more. After years of unwillingly making candidates uncomfortable with LeetCode easy questions and taking many faceplants myself, I decided to say stop. Enough is enough. In my experience, you don't really get a sense of someone's love for coding from whiteboard interviews. They can be great at it. I could tell you countless stories and turn out to be very hard to work with. Because LeetCode is free, you will get some candidates that are exceptionally well prepared from time to time. But there's a very blurry line between being well prepared and cheating. You can reverse a linked list in your sleep because you've memorized the algorithm, but that doesn't tell me if you'll perform well in real-life scenarios. I've seen exceptional candidates freeze on noob tasks because they didn't know the answer beforehand. My interviews today focus only on a candidate's passion for coding. I don't have an interview plan or a set of questions. I just like talking to people who are passionate about their personal projects. I love to see that light in their eyes as they describe weird edge cases and trade-offs. If there's one thing I've learned in 10 years of doing this, is that you can't be prepared. You can't. All we can do as engineers is explore things. We get out of our comfort zones. We tackle poor documentation, legacy codebases, and insane errors. We try things that have never been tried before. We constantly push the edges of the known. And by doing so, we expand the surface area to the unknown with an ever-growing anxiety that the more we learn, the more there is to learn. You really can't prepare for that. You either have the spark that will guide you through the darkness, or you don't. I'm looking for that spark, and maybe so should you.